more assets, right? Like it's the equivalent of the hash power of proof of work. That's what you have in proof of stake is tokens, right? So I set up my validator. Let's use, our current example. Let's use Cardano as an example. Like we set up our node, we set out something like $13,000 worth of Cardano there of ADA, and then people can now delegate their ADA to us, right? So the more that we get delegated, the more rewards we generate, right? So usually we would keep, most of the validators keep around 5% of the rewards generated for themselves and give 95% pro rata or pro rata, I don't know how to say it in English, to the people that are delegating to you, right? So once they do that, right, you're kind of splitting the rewards there. So an ISPO takes this concept and says, well, we're going to set the fees to 100, right, the validator. So we keep 100% of the rewards. And then you, who are the delegator, will get our project token, right? So basically, it's kind of like a loyalty rewards program in that sense for doing delegation to us, right? So you never risk your principal capital, right? Like if you have $1 million worth of Cardano, it is 100% safe. It is in your wallet, in your keys. You never send them to anybody. They're just reference, right? You're just saying, I'm delegating this voting power to this stake pool. So that means that you can rest assured, you can sleep soundly at night, that your assets are safe while you're still getting rewarded in a new project's tokens, right? So you're taking part of a vision or of a product that you believe in without risking your hard-earned or your savings, right? So that's kind of like the model for ISPOs. Right now, we're over $8 million in TVL, which is not bad considering we're in a bear market. So that means that our vision, our message really does resonate with people. And that's just on Cardano. And in the coming weeks, we'll be releasing the Polkadot ISPO, which will be the first Polkadot ISPO ever.
Oh, definitely beautiful, beautiful, Carlos. I have one question to you. We are all pushing P here, Carlos. Help us out. Help us out. When Polygon?
Polygon, it's probably like, it'll probably happen early Q4. I can't give you the exact date, but we already have the partnerships that we need there. And most of the code is done as well. So yeah, very soon. It's gonna be like after Polkadot, like probably a month or a month and a half after Polkadot. But yeah, we're coming to Polygon as well.
Well, these are good news, Carlos. We would love to see Dega in Polygon because Polygon community, I believe, enjoys new technologies, new systems, and new layers to protect themselves. And I believe they would really enjoy it. Carlos, I have one question for you because this is a question that has been bugging my mind. When we look at Web3, new companies coming up, new projects coming in, new infrastructure being built, what user usually sees is, oh, actually, only what you can provide on your profile, because as humans, we don't like to sometimes dig deeper and realize the value. So, what is one thing that the community must know about Dega? Like this is there are some points in our projects that people should actually know and realize the value. So, what is that thing for Dega, if there is any?
Let's see, like summarizing it, I would say that the one thing that you got to know about us is that we are extremely professional, we're extremely focused and passionate about connecting people in emerging markets to the digital economy, right? We're not here to serve, the banks or the institutions in that sense. And to be clear, it's not like I hate them, right? Um, but I think that I want to make that distinction because I've seen a lot of our colleagues, right, in the industry, you know, go from bank, bank the unbanked. They went from that model to let's onboard the institutions, right? And I'm talking to a lot of people in the Ethereum world, in Polygon world, and Cardano world, and many of the ecosystems, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we want to do this so that the banks can join." I was like, "Guys, the banks are already, they have all the money. They literally have all the money. Like, why do you want to onboard them? They don't need this, right?" So that's kind of like the distinction that you have to know about DEGA, right? We're passionate, we're focused, and we're professionals about bringing connecting the people in emerging markets to the digital economy. That's the takeaway.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Thank you for the explanation, Carlos. And I agree with you. They don't. If they wanted to come into space, they have billions of dollars that they can spend to either create their own chain, their own token, or like they can grab a huge portion of the market by themselves already. But I believe that there will be a lot of companies and banking institutions if, of course, Securities and Exchange Commission does not, file more complaints, or if we don't see more lawsuits. So some policy changes, and we will see a lot more companies actually hopping into Web3 and enjoying it. So,
Mhm.
Carlos, I will go to my next question, but before I do that, guys, go ahead, like the post, give it a retweet. And by the way, we don't have retweet anymore. It is changed to repost. So, guys, go ahead, give it a like. Uh, yeah, it's repost now. We have to repost. Retweeting is something in the past. And I was saying, since it is called X and we have Twitter Spaces, instead of calling it X Spaces, why don't we just call it SpaceX and be done with it?
Ha,
Carlos, what do you think? Of
dude,
course. Oh,
a lot of people right now are frustrated, with the Elon Musk takeover. They're mostly frustrated with the changes in feature set and stuff like that. I really don't. That really doesn't piss me off that much. But destroying a great brand, because I would say that the main thing that Twitter had was the brand. Like, technologically, of course, it's a good product, right? Or it's an okay product, like whatever you want to think about it, right? But the brand was great, like the blue bird dude, the tweets, the retweets. That is, like, it's a generational cultural staple, right, for us. And destroying the brand, that's actually the part that pissed me off. Not destroying the product, destroying the brand pissed me off.
oh, definitely, definitely, Carlos. Like X, the logo itself is entirely different, but I don't want to talk much about Elon Musk because he might hear and we might get rugged from the space, which already happened yesterday. So maybe
Yeah,
maybe we should skip our omnipotent Lord
forward moving.
Twit. Definitely, Carlos. So my next question is, how can I get involved as a user, as an Web3 enthusiast? What is the first thing I should do to get into DEGA? What should I do? Where should I go to explore more about DEGA and maybe start using it?
Yeah, so the first things right now to find more information in general, right? It's our website, dega.org, dega.org, right? Or for anybody here in the space, you can just follow me, and in my profile, I have, the tag for Dega. So that's where you'll find all the info. Our links to our blog post, our white paper, everything, right? You also see the products that we're working on right now. So that's in terms of information, and just a general wording. Always in blockchain and Web3, always double check that you're going to the right place, because there's already like a fake Dega token out there. We have not minted our token, right? So always make sure to get your information from the main source. After that, I would invite you to join our Discord. That's where most of the action is. There's our Telegram as well. Our news are there, and people do ask questions there. But most of the engagement is happening in Discord. And in Dega, we believe that everything is about people, right? It's not about things. So we're building technology, but the technology is for people, right? So we have the tribes program there, right? Which is kind of similar to what other ecosystems call gaming guilds. It's not exactly the same because we have a bigger vision for it. And I can go into that if you'd like. But the point is that we have the tribes, right? And the tribes are about connecting with other people that share your values, your vision for the industry. And you can either join one of the existing tribes or you can create your own tribe. We'll help you out. We'll show you, what's the process. We have events for the tribes constantly, right? So that's kind of like the first steps that you can take to kind of like get to know us and to connect with the community and everybody else there. And in terms of products, like the main one we're pushing right now is our ISPO, which we're kind of like being ourselves the guinea pigs for it, because it's never been done, right? There's been a lot of ISPOs in Cardano, but there's never been a multi-chain ISPO. So the whole product flow, the design, the structure, the information, the best way to go about connecting with the users of the ISPO, we're kind of like testing it out ourselves, right? And we'll make this available to other companies, any gaming partner that wants to have their own ISPO, and even the tribes, right? Because we believe the tribes are going to need their own funding. So we're going to, make this product available for everybody. So that's kind of like the first things that you can do, right? So go to our website, join the Discord, join or create a tribe, and then take part of the ISPO delegation to help us out and grow faster.
Oh, definitely, definitely, Carlos. And you talked about game guilds, so like I'm gonna come to that, but I have another question in mind before I come to that. I've seen something called DNFTs. What are these DNFTs, and how what are their utilities? How does it function, Carlos?
So the DNFTs coming from DEGA NFTs, of course, is going to be a status that the NFTs that we create, like every NFT that we mint, can evolve into becoming a DNFT, a DEGA NFT. And what that means is that once you reach that level, you can set up a validator for the DEGA network, right, which will be released next year. And the DEGA network will be the first blockchain that will use NFTs for accruing reputation at the protocol level, right? So you'll use a combination of the DEGA tokens and your DNFT, which will have reputation, so that you can validate in the network, right? And this, we can go into the technical depths of that, but having a combination of economic reliance, right, like most of the blockchains do right now, plus um, verifiable on-chain reputation in your DNFT allows our protocol to be able to have a higher grade of security than most.
Oh, beautiful, 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 Carlos. So they like so you build your reputation on these NFTs. So it actually verifies that you are the correct person first and you are trustable. Am I correct, Carlos?
Yeah, and that you've performed or to the network, a given set of value, delivery over time, right? Like to give you an example, right? We've all seen a lot of situations in which there's a DAO, and then a group of people with a lot of capital come in and do a hostile takeover of the DAO, right? And the reason for that is because that DAO is purely designed around capital, right? Like whoever has more money can vote more. But what we're doing in DEGA is everything in the system, including the consensus engine, is going to take capital and is going to be weighted by your reputation level, right? So it's not the same for somebody to have, 10,000 DEGA, but have just recently joined yesterday, like, the network, the ecosystem, the community doesn't know you, doesn't can't depend on you for your good intentions, right? Even if you have DEGA tokens, that doesn't mean that you have good intentions or that you value our ecosystem. But with these NFTs, right, that you can prove that you've either deployed dApps on the ecosystem, that you've been validating a node for 12 months, for example, and your node has behaved correctly. All of those things are going to be registered in the DNFTs. And with that, you can then the ecosystem at different levels, right? At the consensus engine, at the social interactions level, the ecosystem can rest assured and verify that you have been a productive, fruitful individual within the ecosystem.
I love it. I love it, Carlos. And I believe as soon as you arrive to Polygon, you're going to see that some of the projects and some of the companies out here will actually appreciate what you guys are doing. So, Dega is already multi-chain, as I believe, and it is about to become more multi-chain in the in the near future, as far as I see, Carlos. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's right. We're already making the preparations for a multi-chain release that we have on our side and with some of our partners, right? So yeah, so that's coming up. We're going to be doing a very modular deployment, right? So you're going to see us release, NFT minters, ISPO modules first. Then we'll release a gasless meta transaction layer with our API. Then we'll release probably the token, then the DEGA meta layer, which is described in the white paper. So we're very modular in that sense because, we've seen that too many projects kind of like fall into this mistake of going into their ivory tower, right? They're completely disconnected from the industry, from their people, or, they're connected, but they're just talking about it, right? They're not actually saying, hey, here's a product, try it out, tell us what you think. And then, taking that feedback and then coming back and improving their development process. So we're unlike most of my colleagues, and to be clear, I respect like a lot of them, but unlike most of them that have a more, let's say, academic research kind of perspective or a purely engineering technical perspective, we have a very product solutions type of perspective, right? So we definitely want to, do a very quick iterative feedback loop between us and the people that we're building products for.
Oh, definitely, definitely, Carlos. And I also see another thing that the phase one of your ISPO is already out there, and people can right now participate by delegating tokens to Dega stake pools, and they can start earning Dega tokens, right?
That's correct. Yeah. Right now, you can do so with ADA, the native currency at Cardano. In a few weeks, you'll be able to do it with DOT as well. And then a few weeks after that, you'll be able to do it with Matic as well, and then Ethereum, most likely.
I mean, Carlos, I have some Matic just waiting in my wallet, so I'm going to be definitely waiting for that launch. So, guys, like as far as I see when I look at Dega, uh, okay, I will start from this. Speculators. We see a lot of speculators when we come into the space because speculation, I believe, exists because the projects and companies out there are not putting that amount of information and they don't have a clear roadmap. And when I look at Dega, you don't even have to speculate, man. Like everything is out there already, and product is out there working, and it is soon about to go towards multiple blockchains and become a multi-chain product. So as far as I see, this is definitely something that should be checked out because you don't have to speculate. Value is already there, and I love it, Carlos. I
Thank
love
you.
it.
Thank you. Yeah. No, and we definitely listen to our community constantly, right? Like right now, for example, like the premium pass, that's the first ever that I'm aware of, at least, premium pass that's being issued through chatbot, right? And out of like, I think it was like 600 or plus people that purchased that. We only got like four complaints, right? And they're valid complaints.
Yep.
We did review them. We analyzed them. We already have ideas about how to improve that. But imagine me going out and you know building a multiple massive chat based Web3 system, right, with no feedback, right? So here, what we did was launch one feature. Let's try it out. We got it out there. It worked. Now we got some feedback. Next feature is going to be improved, and so forth, right? So that's kind of like our approach there. And yeah, like we're already very deeply engaged with our community, and we have a lot of focus put on the tribes, right? The tribe systems. So anybody that's looking to get more into Web3 gaming, and you're like, how do I do more than just buy NFTs? How do I do more than just buy tokens, right? Well, a great way to do that is to set up your own tribe and connect with other people that will share your vision, your value, or join an existing tribe, right? There's some of the tribes that we have in the DEGA Discord are very organized, dude. They have their lawyer, they have their manager, they have their content creators. They're already like an organization, right? So I would say this is an open invite to anybody who wants to be more ingrained into Web3 gaming.
Oh, I love it. I love it, Carlos. Carlos, like this is a lot of information. I will need some time to digest all of it. But like yeah, yeah, because like we can see that the plan in mind is much more than what is happening right now. So I'm seeing some great features and new products coming up from Dega. I love it. I love it, Carlos. So, guys, in the meantime, we will slowly wrap up the conversation. So, if you have any questions to ask Carlos here, I think he would love to answer some of them. In the meantime, Carlos, I think I have seen one question, but I don't know if I understood it correctly. What is the plans for degrading markets? So, like, wait, like
Yeah,
degrading market.
what's a degrading market?
Like, I think he's talking about the current market condition. So, this might be a question about how are you coping with the current market situation, maybe, and that might be a good question. Good question. What are you doing in this bear market, Carlos? What is the plan? What is the future?
So yeah, I mean, sadly, most of the organizations in the industry are extremely inefficient, and they don't they spend way too much money, more so than they need to. I luckily, thanks to the experience I had in the enterprise world, in the enterprise world, unlike crypto, it's not about being bombastic, right? It's about being efficient with your operations, right? And I'm also lucky to have a very brilliant team. Like, I swear to God, that everybody in the data team is like having two or three people on that, right? Like, they're extremely efficient. Um, so I just gotta say that our expenses are just very low compared to what we need to do. So we get a lot done with a lot less than most of the projects out there. Also, obviously, the ISPO stake pools are providing cash flow. That's also very, very. It's not a large amount of cash flow, but it's cash flow, right? So it's helpful. We've also closed some of tickets in our private round. So if anybody's like an investor, they can reach out to us, an angel investor in Web3. Um, and yeah, that's basically it, right? So efficiency, cash flow. We're also a revenue generating company from day one, right? Like, we literally started operations in November last year, and we closed our first client that month, right? So my advice to everybody out there, right? Because I guess the question is more, yeah, what we're doing, but like, how could anybody else do it, right? Like, my advice would be focus on revenue, keep expenses low, try to go to market with short, minimal MVPs, try them out, make sure they also generate cash flow, and then rinse and repeat, right?
Of course, the Carlos, and I see actually a big influx of investors and institutions coming in to invest because, like the middle of the bear market is probably the best time to invest. All prices are low, and you see what kind of companies are still out there building and trusting their product. And what kind of
Mm-hmm.
companies are just throwing the towel and just like disappearing from space. So this is good. This is harsh time for companies, but this is actually a big opportunity for all the investors who would like to come in because this is the cheapest time we are probably going to see in the coming years. So yeah, Carlos, I believe we will see a huge influx of money coming into the space, and
Mm-hmm.
some of the people are going to be actually really surprised.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I was saying, right? Like the industry has had a lot of progress. We've gone a long way. If not for these, five or six multi-billion-dollar institutions that collapse, we'd be balling right now, right? Like we'd be rolling super good. And obviously, there's always going to be a cycle, right? It's inevitable. Even in the traditional economy, you have ups and downs. But crypto's ups and downs are brutal, right? Like when you go up, it's like 100x more capital coming in. When you go down, it's 100x less capital available. So what we need to do is like, I'm not going to say we're going to completely decouple, but we need to be more value oriented, right? We need to be focused on delivering products and services that a wide audience are using, right? Like gaming itself, right? Like, video games itself is a very massive industry. So even though there has been speculation there, right? Like to give you an example, the Face Clan, one of the largest esports brands in the world. I think they were the largest at some point. They went on the public market. They generated a very speculative launch. They went up to like over $1 billion in valuation, and now they're valued like at 75 million, right? And this is nothing to do with crypto. This is just a normal esports gaming company. So you'll see speculation all over the place. But like in gaming, right? These guys going through that, they're just one company, right? Like $1 billion out of a $350 billion industry is not, it's not a big deal. So that's the level that we need to get in crypto, right? Like, yes, there's going to be always some speculations. There's always going to be, sadly, some scams. But we need to get to a point in which most of the industry is producing revenue, value, and tangible growth with um, with the consumer market, up to a point in which, one company collapsed. Okay, so we lost $2 billion out of a $3 trillion industry. It's not a big deal, and that's kind of like where we need to head, I think, in the coming decade.
Well, Carlos, FUD is fear, doubt, and uncertainty. So there are going to be always market manipulations, but of course, just $2 million disappearing does not take much from all that
Yeah.
$3 billion market cap. So yeah, yeah, Carlos, I like we are both building and I love it. And Carlos, I believe you're going to be really successful with the products and games we are putting out. In the meantime, guys, our Tank Master game is in its alpha version, and right now we have a tournament going on with some juicy rewards. Come in, test out the game, give your feedback because soon we will have tons of updates coming to Tank Master and it is going to become a beautiful game. So come on, help us build this game together and let's make sure that this is a banger. So hop in, try it, give us your feedback, and grab some of those rewards from our game. Tank Master. You can go ahead to arenavs.com, register your account, click on games, and you will see Tank Master. And it is available on iOS and Android. So, whatever device you have, you will probably be able to play it. So, go ahead and join the tournament, guys. In the meantime, Carlos, do you have anything to add before we wrap up the space? For our community to know and understand, and then we will slowly be wrapping up the space.
Yeah. So on my side, just wanted to say that I'm very excited to be working with Arena Games. I'm looking forward to meeting you all in person in Georgia. I'll be going to the event at the start of October. So looking forward to that. I think that there's a lot of great synergies between both of our communities. We'll be joining you guys in Polygon soon enough. And thank you for the invite today. For everybody in the audience, feel free to follow me, follow DEGA, join our Discord, ask absolutely any question that you want to ask, and get engaged in Web3 by taking part in a tribe. So looking forward to seeing you guys there. And to Arena Games, I'm just thinking, we should do a gaming tournament together, right? As you guys are doing this competition, let's do a joint stream on Twitch.
Why not? Why not, Carlos? We would love to do that because we are all about tournaments, competition, and finding the best players that are out there. So if you trust yourself as a gamer, you heard it, guys. We will probably have a joint tournament with Dega. So let's see how it goes. Carlos and I think that after the Tank Master update, there would be an opportunity to hold a joint grand tournament, and I would love to plan it with you. So let's talk about more of this after the space. In the meantime, we
Yep.
have one final question from one of our listeners. He is asking, how are your tokenomics compared to other out there? So maybe a good amount of information about your tokenomics would be really helpful, Carlos.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, obviously, going into tokenomics, you could explain a lot, but in short, if you want to see like the amount of tokens, that's not what I consider tokenomics. What most people call tokenomics, I just call it the token distribution, right? You can see that in the white paper. You go to DEGA.org, you go to the white paper, you see the chart, like how everything distributed. Now, what's not there, which we will be publishing in a separate very specific technical financial document. It's the modeling of how it'll be distributed, right? So one thing that we're going to be doing, for example, for us, the team, for the foundation, and for the DAO, right? So these are going to be like the three or main organizations at the start, right? Obviously, as time goes by, we want to ever more decentralized, right? So the foundation will handle, let's say the open ecosystem development. Obviously, us as the company are going to do the commercial aspects of it, and then you're going to have the DAO, which is going to be the community aspect of it, right? So these institutions are going to have their DEGA token issuance tied to two things, right? Most companies just tie it to time, right? Like vesting period. So in 6 months, it'll be released, and that's it, right? So we'll tie it to that and to reaching specific goals. Like, for example, X amount of DEGA token burned due to transaction fees, right, across multiple ecosystem. X amount of NFT secondary market volume, right? So that means that the DAO, the foundation, and the company will not get their DEGA tokens, even though the vesting period is met. The DEGA tokens will not be released if they're not performing, right? So everybody has the incentive to get off their ass, work, and deliver results. So I would say that that's kind of like the main thing that really will set us apart from most of them. The specifics of that, again, that is the specifics are not in the white paper. We'll be releasing a separate document for that, just because it's a very elaborate model. It's based on something uh, called structural demand modeling, right? Which is a system used in traditional finance for predicting prices and projecting growth. So yeah, that's basically, I would say, it's the main difference in terms of how many tokens, who has what. Just go and look at the white paper in the website.
Oh, and Carlos, by the way, that is a beautiful idea. Like, reaching milestones before unlocking supply, and it ensures that the token keeps its value, and the community can actually see if the token is performing as well as it should. So, if it's not
Mm-hmm.
performing as good as it should, why open new supply, which would degrade the value of that token. So I see great precautions taken there.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad that you liked it.
Oh, did I rug? Hello, Carlos, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Hello, Carlos.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello. I hear you. I
Maybe
hear
I
you.
got
Can you
rugged.
hear me?
Guys, can you give me a heart? Maybe some emojis. Oh, I think you guys can hear me, but probably I cannot hear you.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello.
Okay, guys, like it has been a great conversation here. Let's wrap up the space. And you guys heard we will be having more space to come with Dega. I'm just gonna say goodbye to you all and thank you for joining the space. Let's see you guys. Have fun and have a great weekend.